Very good.
One of the highlights of Thursday nights is the Thrive Dessert Bar. One of my favorite things in life. Just what's going to come through those doors and what am I going to be able to enjoy?
You never know.
You never know. And one dessert was so good that the family ate half of it before they put it on the back table. And so I just thought, I really respect that. And so I'm going to put that on the screen. So I don't know what happened to the other half or the platter. But that, along with a couple others, was on the back table. And I really,
It must have been good. I say -2 points for having fruit. Fruit and dessert do not mix.
Right.
But
that's the kind of thing you could scrape the fruit off the top and eat what's underneath.
To the good stuff.
Yeah.
To the good stuff.
And that's maybe what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe they did that. We never know. Half of it's gone.
Right.
It could have slid like on the drive over here. Maybe they
True.
dropped it.
The other half could have been like coated with chocolate on the top. And
You
maybe
never
they
know.
ate that.
But we definitely went to the worst case scenario of
Yeah.
they ate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't really blame them for that, I just respect that.
Do you know who it is? Can we get him
No,
up here?
I don't. I don't know. I don't know who it is. I don't need to know. But
Confession time.
oh, so they didn't eat it?
I knew it.
Do kids travel in this said car? Because there could be like Cheerio bits and stuff like that now mixed in with the fruit.
If it was my car, it would be pretzel thins would be
Nope.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids just like produce food scraps in the car.
Shrapnel.
Yeah, out of
I don't know
nothing.
how it happens.
Ex nihilo.
I eat
really.
a pretzel crisp. That's a one bite. They eat
Yeah.
it 20 to 30 bites all over the place.
Yeah. Hard
Terrible.
to explain. Well, hey, while we're showing pictures, and since this is such a friendly ministry that holds other people accountable, I want to say thank you for the accountability relationship we've had over the last week. Last week, many of you heard me confess to you that I've been putting off a project at my house and that I planned to build the wall this last weekend. Well, I want to confess to you this week that Saturday rolled around and I really did not want to build the wall. And I was like, why did I tell everybody? I shouldn't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. This is not going to be a good thing. Now I'm on the line to do this. What have I done? But the next step that needed to happen was to fill the concrete with, fill the empty bays in the cinder block wall with concrete. I could do that, so I did that. Took the next step on Saturday. Sunday rolls around, the big day. And in the 11th hour, in the clutch moment, a Thrive guy texted me and said, hey, brother, can we knock this thing out? And I said, praise the Lord, yes we can. And so please put up the finished wall on the screen. And my friend Radu, check it out. Now I need to clean up. I still need to clean up that stuff.
Is that this weekend?
But-
Are you asking for accountability?
No, I'm not going to commit to a specific
So
day.
everybody text Pastor Mark on Monday and see if this got done.
But honestly, you see how good it looks? It would not look anything like that if I did it myself. And so, Radu, I appreciate you, my friend. That was super helpful. Yeah, there it is. All right. So we do accountability here, amongst other things, and I appreciate you guys. So, speaking of accountability, let me hold you accountable for something. Have you registered for the parenting class? If you're planning on going?
One hand. One hand.
Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So the parenting class is happening this Sunday, and you're invited to that. If you've never taken it before, I suggest you do. Just an available option for you Sundays at 9 a.m.
Is there room still?
I think there's room. Yeah. Meet over in CBI, classroom 2, the big one over there. So I'm going to kick it off this weekend, and then Pastor Doug will be next weekend, and then other people will come in after that.
Very equipped pastors will come
That's
in
right.
after that. Great
That's right.
topics, really informative, and for all different age groups of your kids too. So you can always pull a little nugget out based on your different age kids. So it's not just set for, infants or teenagers. It's for all kids. Really, really good stuff.
Yep. So we have another announcement, and that is that next week is fellowship night. So we did that at the beginning of last semester. That's just an opportunity for you to get together with people in your group outside of this normal routine that we do here. So I won't teach. We won't have dinner like we normally have it. So drop your kids at Awana, and then your group needs to go and do something. So you can stay on campus. I recommend you go off campus, do something together. Enjoy the time to just hang out while the kids are in KBC and Awana. So you should come up with something tonight if you haven't already.
Good call. Lots of good stuff to do. And also, is there room for our goal-setting workshop that's this Saturday? Is there room?
There is room for you to sign up, but you got to do it by the end of the night tonight. So the topic for the day today is we're talking goal setting. We've got a special guest we'll tell you about here in just a second, but on the 20th, on Saturday, we're doing the workshop, so that's going to be kind of a continuation of the discussion here. There is space, but you need to sign up tonight.
Okay, good.
Before midnight.
I'm signed up. I'm excited. I'm going.
If you try to sign up at like 12:01, we'll probably let you in, but I think the form will be closed. So we'll have to email Kristen.
So who is our special guest?
Well, we don't bring in many special guests into Thrive.
No, we
This
don't.
person has to be really, really special.
So an extra special guest?
Extra special guest. I don't really know how to sufficiently introduce and hype up this special guest other than to say that how many people can claim to have founded the ministry that we participate in every Thursday night? We have what some would call the founder of Thrive.
Wow.
The father of Thrive. A legendary figure. And so please put your hands together and welcome up Mr. Ryan Hawley. Ryan Hawley is, in fact, he recommended the Michael Jordan walk-in music, and I told him...
This was not the walk-in music I anticipated.
We already have one
Hype up the
picked out.
crowd. Hype now.
This was it. So, the father of Thrive.
I see what you're doing there.
So, some of you know Ryan. Clap your hands if you know Ryan. How many of you know Ryan? Okay.
A smattering.
So, and then some of you don't, right? A lot of you don't know Ryan because you've come to Thrive in the last few years.
Ryan is old, and
I didn't say...
I know what you're saying.
I mean, you can fill in the gaps from there. So Ryan, safe to say, you were part of Thrive from day one, were you not?
Day one, that is correct.
Yeah. Wow. So day one, and took on this task of kind of starting and leading this ministry. In what year was that?
Long time ago. Well, I tell you this, it was, I think 2006. Is that right? 2006. Yeah, the Seegers know.
There's one other couple that knows.
The one other couple that knows. Well, I know that because my older son was a newborn when we started Thrive, and he is a senior this year. So if you're wondering how old Thrive is, Thrive's a senior in high school right now. So graduation year is exciting. Big times for Thrive.
Yeah, thinking about college and planning next steps in life. Yeah.
Big stuff.
That's
18 years.
big. That's big time. So in the early days, Thrive looked a little bit different than this.
So the very, very early days, Thrive met, do you know where? Do you know where Thrive, Thrive
The
first
old
met.
campus room?
Thrive first met in the temple. Back.
What was Thrive back then?
Thrive was an Orthodox group, really. No, the whole church met in the temple. You remember this.
I wasn't there.
So this was pre this building. The church actually met in a temple. We were going through Hebrews at the time, which was a good time to go through Hebrews. And Pastor Mike taught. We met, Sunday afternoon, because temple was busy on Saturday and free on Sunday.
There you
if
go.
You can believe it. So, and yeah, we started in the temple in the fall, and in the spring we moved into this building. And like Pastor Mike was doing a class in the Compass Room, and nobody wanted the auditorium. So all 25 of us met here in the auditorium. And we would teach from over, they didn't have the screens, we'd teach from a little TV over there. We have a couple old pictures of that, like it's an odd setup when you have 25. This is nice. Nice to see all the great faces here.
Totally. No, it's been a great year, and we're thankful that you started Thrive because we've turned it into a national holiday since then.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yes. So
every week.
What goes on? Every week is National Thrive Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nice that way, where it's
Is there
not
anything
just
that comes along with National? What happens on National Thrive Day?
the
Desserts.
dessert bar.
Dessert bar. Yeah.
Excellent teaching.
All right.
Those are the highlights.
Those are-
Fellowship, small groups.
Small groups. So why is there a bear? I've never understood that either. Tell me about the bear.
I don't know.
I left and Thrive wasn't a bear, and then I see the bear. I'm like, I feel like it needs some introduction.
Yeah.
The bears. Yes, I know the answer. I'm sorry. Is it Ian? Amy, what's his name? Jack. All right.
I don't know. Awana has a bear. So
Awana has a bear.
we meet on the same night.
I like it.
It's just
I
an
like
adult
it.
bear, not a cubby bear.
It's a cool bear.
No,
Not a gummy bear.
actually, Justin Sherman designed it, or someone, and then for the camp out, and then we liked it, so we just kept it.
I like it.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
Unless you're expecting more to the story. That's it.
we didn't plan to just kind of reminisce on the good old days
is
the
there
whole
more?
time.
There's more to this.
What we brought Ryan Holly in to do tonight, and I've asked Garrett to join, is I want to just ask a series of questions about goal setting to these two guys here, because in addition to starting Thrive, Ryan also started the goal setting workshop as we know it, and we're kind of bringing it back this Saturday. And so I wanted to just pick your guys' brains about what you've done for goal setting in the past, what that looks like, why that's important in a marriage, in a Christian marriage. And so I've got a list of questions, and maybe we'll just start by asking Ryan, what was your heart behind this goal setting workshop? How did it come about?
Well, that's a great question. I'll give you the background. We got married, went on our honeymoon, and then came back and went on a goal-setting workshop. It was literally almost the first thing we ever did in our marriage. We were married 2 weeks, and this couple at the church was doing a goal-setting workshop, and we went through it. And just the thing I think that really stuck out to me was just this concept of everybody does a level of planning in their lives, and if something's important to you, you're going to plan it. I mean, so many of us in our jobs are mostly planning sometimes, and other areas of life that you could go on a vacation, you're gonna make a plan. You go to something as simple as you go to the grocery store, you're gonna make a plan and go and do that. Well, if it's important, you plan it. How much more important our marriage, how much more important our spiritual lives? Aren't we better served if we just take a real planful approach to our marriage and our lives? And so that was just the thought that really resonated with me. So we just started doing this. We had the first meeting, and it was like, wow, this is great. We're figuring out how to be married, and we started talking about big things and what we wanted to do for the year. And we looked back at the end of the year and said, wow, we did a lot of those things. Well, hey, how about next year? And then it kind of started for us around the anniversary. Our anniversary is December 28th, so kind of right around the first of the year anyways.
Great day to get married, by the way.
Great day to get married, that is correct. So
It's our anniversary, too.
It really, yeah. So it really worked well for us to kind of tie in with the new year and all that. And it's just something that, when we look back, either over the years or we look back over the marriage and say some of the most significant things that we did and have done so far in our lives, in our marriages, were things that we talked about in our goal setting workshop or in our goal setting as a couple.
I love that. That's great. Garrett, I know you attended the goal setting workshop at one point, because you haven't been around in Thrive since the very, very beginning, but you've been around for a while.
Only 13 years.
13.
I'm fresh.
Newbie.
Yeah.
Less gray hairs when you started in Thrive.
A lot less gray
Yeah.
hairs, but it's not because of Thrive. It's because of kids.
Kids.
But no, we went through the class with Ryan and his wife, Kiara, and it was really mind-blowing just figuring out, okay, we do need to plan. We need to figure these things out. Where are we going to grow spiritually? What do we want to do with our kids? Do we want to buy a house? How are we going to save? So just thinking about those big questions and having someone lead you in that and then also give you the time to plan that out, it really changed the trajectory of our marriage. We do a recap at least once a year and follow up, make new goals, and then follow up on those goals.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about what you guys do. What does the Cornish family do for
All right.
goal setting?
I thought you
And then
never
we'll
asked.
ask the same question to you.
So what we do is we try to get away because we have 4 kids, 14 to 7. And so we try to remove ourselves from that situation to focus.
The gray hair inducing situation.
Yes. And so we'll go, if it's a hotel or something like that, we'll stay out overnight. Sometimes we'll have the kids, I call it a stay away. So the kids stay away from our house. And so we'll stay home and the kids go with the grandparents and spend the night. And we make it fun. We go out, we have a nice dinner, and then, but really the meat and potatoes of it is we sit and we plan out our goals. And we have individual goals, goals as a couple, spiritual goals that we have, financial goals, and we even plan out goals for our individual kids where they're at as well. Yeah.
Sweet. Ryan, yeah, what do you guys do?
Yeah, so we similarly, we like to get away for the weekend, as we usually try to take a weekend to do it, and as far away as you can get. I mean, if you can only get away for an afternoon, great, but we try to get away, get a hotel, get somewhere different, and really spend the weekend doing it. Usually it's right around our anniversary, usually that weekend before or after. My family's moved out of the state, and so we spend a lot of time over the holidays traveling. So we're actually doing it this weekend coming up. Because, well, this weekend is, you may not know because you have young kids, Revival Winter Edition, right? Known also in Abide as Date Weekend, right? Because those kids are getting out of here up to the mountain.
Yep, far away.
And if
Stay
you can
away.
time it so both your kids are in high school at the same time as we have a whole weekend where they leave and the church takes them.
So
It's
nice.
wonderful.
That's so
it's,
nice.
it's a wonderful thing. So we'll spend the weekend, and then a couple of things that we do, a couple of main things. One is, review the prior year. Let's talk about what we did, what worked well, what didn't work well. And then another thing which is super powerful, super dangerous, and you got to tread carefully here, but we spend some time when we talk about, each other. I talk about my wife, she talks about me, we talk about what they do well, and then we talk about what opportunities they have. So you can see why that is.
How does that go?
So a couple things, because
Opportunities for what?
opportunities for me, really. No, so the theory is that nobody's perfect, right? And whatever whatever the right opportunity for me to tell my wife about something she can do better, I will pick. I'm a dude, so I'll pick the exact opposite. The wrong time, kids are a mess, whatever. And hey, honey, let me tell you something. And it doesn't go well. So the thought of having a safe space where it's like, hey, we're getting away, we're away from the kids, we're away from the ins and outs, and let's have a real conversation. So a couple of things. One, the list of things you do well should be a lot longer than the list of opportunities you have.
Pro tip, I like that.
If it's like, here's what you do well, and then let me get the list. No, it's the other way around. And here's all the things, and because it's good to hear from your spouse what they appreciate about you. And then, hey, here are the things, in that mindset, with that thankfulness, here's the things that you could do better. One of the things we used to do in the workshop, which I thought was always really interesting, we take just a couple minutes in the middle of the workshop and say, how do we say? We said, what are 3 things that you really appreciate about your spouse? And then what are 3 things that you really think your spouse appreciates about you? And you write them down and then, hey, compare those lists. And what so often you find is that there's some things that you think are really important to your spouse that you're doing, and it's not that meaningful. And then there's some things that are really meaningful that you're not even thinking about, right? So giving yourself the space to have those conversations, we find it's really helpful, really, really helpful, and it puts us in a good mind to then go, the final step, the biggest step is let's go through and talk about the year and talk about the goals and what we want to do for the year.
That's awesome. So you said that you review the previous year. Do you
Yep.
have notes from that?
Yeah.
Do you have a
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen your PowerPoint skills and I've seen your Excel skills, but please enlighten me on your record-keeping skills for goal setting.
This one's not all that impressive. No, literally, it's just, we usually have, usually as simple as 2 pages. There's a page of the goals, and then there's a page of what we appreciated and what they can do better. Really, a lot of the reviews are, hey, you said last year that you'd like me to do better on this. How'd I do?
Do you just have a Word doc or something like that?
Yeah, it's just literally a Word doc,
Okay.
and I've got them back. I save them, so I can tell you our goals from 2003 if you want them, but they're all there. But we grow year over year, so sometimes it's helpful to look farther back. But usually not. Usually looking at the last year. Hey, let's talk about it, because a lot of times you'll find you set goals and they sound really great in your head and on paper. It just didn't really work out. Hey, that didn't work out. Let's not set a goal like that again. If you Or maybe they didn't work out because something in your life that was wrong that you need to fix. Hey, let's fix that. Let's set that goal again. A lot of times you got to review the past year to see if something didn't happen, why didn't it happen, and should we try again, or was that a bad idea in the first place? You got to have that conversation.
Yeah. Garrett, do you guys do anything for like follow up or like, so you set these goals, what then? Just wait until next year or what?
We try to touch base 6 months and just, not a formal deal. Well, we try to go out as much as possible, date your spouse.
Yep.
And then so about 6 months, we'll go and just do a quick review. We do the same thing, a Word doc and a Google Drive, and then we can pull it out at dinner or whatever and just go over it really quick. And if we need to adjust or pivot or change, that's a good time to do it so the back half of the year is successful.
Yeah, I really recommend, during the year too, because that's the year end, but we usually do it like maybe twice. But sometimes you got to adjust course, and sometimes it doesn't need to wait a whole other year to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are talking about kind of coming up with a strategic approach to multiple different categories. Are there like things that you end up discussing in that meeting that you wouldn't otherwise discuss? Did you not create the meeting? Like, are there categories that would get overlooked or things that kind of this goal setting pattern has helped you to kind of make sure you don't miss, or I don't know, something like that?
Yeah, I think I think when we did the workshop, we broke it up into categories, and they're pretty, and we try to think that way. They're pretty comprehensive. You should probably have a goal about getting to know God better, right? Whether it's your reading the Bible, prayer, books, getting accountability, whatever. There should be some goals. Yeah, we should always be. It's sanctification. You should always be growing in the Christian life. So you have some on that. You should have some on parenting. As you have kids, you have some on finances and house, or whatever it is. Working out more. There's usually broad categories that are pretty comprehensive for us. For me, it's a lot more about pushing yourself to do more, right? Because you can set a goal, and if I'm reading the DBR every day, phenomenal, I did it. Next year, I'm going to read the DBR every day, and that's going to be my goals for the next 30 years. That's not a bad thing, but what more can you do? And so for us, we always try to talk about, if it's a bad goal and it didn't work for whatever reason, let's take it off. But if it's a good goal, great, let's do that, and now what, right? And that can be a bit foreboding because we're busy in it, but these are supposed to be the priorities. So if they're the priorities, then these should be the things that I want to take more time to do. And so it's a lot for us. It's a lot about talking about what we can do more of, what we can do better of, and then that goes along with it. Well, what do we need to do less of? Okay, let's stop doing this over here because these are the priorities. And you got to have, and we can talk about, you got to have like a manageable number. But if these are the priorities, these are the things that we're spending time on. These things over here might need to be sacrificed in order for us to spend more time over there. So it's a lot about doing more when we talk about it.
Yeah, I've always really valued Jamie's inputs with the kids. She spends more time with them on a daily basis, so she gets to see a lot more of their behavior on she gets to witness it more often than I do. So getting her feedback on their goals spiritually is really, really valuable. The money and the personal stuff and spiritual, we're usually really aligned on that, but with the kids, it's always great to have her input on that.
It's super helpful. So sounds like there's a ton of benefit you guys are describing in terms of like identifying good goals, making progress and growth in the Christian life, identifying areas to kind of develop and things like that. So I can see the value there in development. How would you describe the impact that kind of goal planning has on your relationship with your spouse? Like, what kind of impact has this pattern had on your marriage itself?
You want me to go?
Go ahead.
I feel like it just makes us a team, and the return, our investment together is exponentially greater than if we were running side by side trying to do life, but not together. And that's the biggest impact that it's had on us is we set these goals together, we come up with them together, and then we work on them together.
Yeah, and I think for us a lot, we're kind of building on that, and go into the workshop, you go start now and do it. I mean, anything you do, I think in this respect, great, but the more you can, and we in our old workshop, we used to talk a lot about prayer would come up like 6 times in that. Like pray about these things. because these are supposed to be the most important things. So hopefully they're not things you're coming up on a whim. If you can align on those things, the big things, then you're right. Then you get to be a team. The challenge, we had years where, I mean, sometimes this just happens, but you set all these goals and then 16 other things happen, right? But hopefully these are things that you've prayed about, you've thought a lot about, and you've said, these are the most important things. And so that then it gets to the team, right? Stuff's going to happen in life and distractions are going to come, but no, we got away for a week and we talked about it. This is most important. That comes in. What are we going to do about that? Well, these are the priorities. Yeah, we'll fit it in here, or no, that doesn't fit in. It just keeps you aligned. And yeah, there's going to be times to adjust. We try to adjust, I think, carefully, right? It's like you don't change these things willy-nilly. Try to get willy-nilly in on the stage up here, so check. You don't want to adjust these things just on a whim. You want to just, be mindful about it. And yeah, if you have to change, but hopefully these are things that you're committed to. And then, then you have that team attitude. And as whatever comes your way, hey, we're aligned that this is what we want to accomplish. And it's been a big benefit to unity, as Garrett said.
So you guys talk about the positive impact it has on your relationship, and you can look back at that over the years. What would you say to couples, and maybe you've been there before, but what would you say to couples who try to have these kinds of goal-setting discussions and it just turns into an argument or a fight, or someone gets offended at the you could improve in this area type portion of the discussion?
Yeah, so be careful, pray. I mean, it keeps coming back to that. But no, and then just, I think you go in, and it's hard, and I won't, this isn't always easy, because a lot of times you're kind of digging under the surface at the kind of foundational things in your walk with God, your foundational things in your marriage. But if you go in, if you pray about it, honestly, for weeks and months ahead of time, and then you go in with the attitude that I'm going to be humble, I'm going to learn from my spouse, we're going to humbly look to God and see what he has to say to us, it helps, right? Because your spouse is going to say something, you're, I know, but I only do that because you do that. And it takes, it takes humility, and it takes just, I think, a good amount of just trust in God to say, you know what? I'm going to be humble in this. I'm going to look to God in this, and then there's the benefit that comes out of it. It's a challenge sometimes, particularly if it's a rough year. I mean, if it's a great year and everything's going well and the goals work great. If it's a challenging year, yeah, you're going to have some things to, I think, to talk about in there. But it's better to talk about them than not talk about them. I mean, what we found is it's better to talk about them in that safer place than in the midst of the day-to-day battle of life. So it's a tough thing, no doubt about it, but it's a very profitable thing.
Yeah, being humble about it and just remembering our marriage is a gift from God. My spouse is a gift from God, and she's there to help correct me too and show me, like, hey, you're kind of being harsh with the kids or whatever it is. And so being humble about it and just trusting that, yeah, you know what, maybe I am, and take it for what it is and move on. She's perfect, so I don't have any corrections for her. But got to get some brownie points. Step one. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, is just knowing that she is there, God's placed her in my life, and I need to listen.
Cool. What would you say to couples or individuals, I suppose, that seem to make goals every year and they don't materialize, and we're kind of like, oh, it's a new year, let's make some new goals, and nothing really comes of it?
So that's a good question. One of the things that I think we've had some decent success with is timing on the goals as well, right? Is if you're setting goals and, hey, you can get after all of them in November, maybe that's not the most successful way to go. Or if you're setting goals and everything's got to be done by, February 12th, maybe not that. So set the goals and have some decent check-in. One is just, I think, checking in, like we talked about, and let's see how it's going. But we'll do a lot. We'll have like some goals that are specific to the summer, just because ministry years, kids off school. There's usually a little more time in the summer. Hey, we're going to do this in the summer. But think through these goals, and then what kind of progress you can have in January and February. Let's get after these right away. So hopefully there's some things that you can get after right away, and just think through the timing and the pacing of the year. Some of these things are going to be really, really big things that may seem kind of hard to accomplish. So breaking them down, I think, into the smallest chunks that you can, and then getting after them.
Yeah, I think not being overly ambitious with the list, And, if you have 20 items on your spiritual growth, and I'm going to read a book a month, and I'm going to pray every day for 2 hours a day, I mean, there's not enough time in the day, and then nothing gets done. So being realistic with your goals and making sure, I would say, quality over quantity with the goals to make sure that you actually are doing them. And then, like you're saying, with the accountability, like with your wall, have a little accountability there with DBR and prayer and things like that. And you can ask your spouse or your friends in your small group.
Awesome. That's good stuff. Any other general advice or thoughts that we didn't cover? We got some questions, but no, we got questions for people to go and talk about in groups, but I want to hear any
what I
final
signed up
thoughts.
for here. Yeah, and then I think the categorization, and there's no magic to this, but we've usually had, goals for us as a couple. We've kind of pulled out parenting goals, since that seemed to be kind of a different animal, and we'd almost have as many goals there. And then we'll have our own goals. Just if there's something that only she's going to do or something only I'm going to do, well, maybe that's not a marriage goal, but we include it all together as kind of one cohesive document because these are the goals. But we try to break up into things that we want to do, things that we want to do in our parenting, things in our marriage, and then things that we each do ourselves. But it's all kind of packaged in one, and we just find a lot of value in breaking it up that way.
Yeah, I would say if you're just hesitant to do it, just start. Like with any, just start and put your toe in the water, and you'll see the benefits of it, definitely. Yeah.
You could pick 3 things. Say we're going to do. Make it real simple if you want. I'm going to read the DBR every single day, and I'm going to spend 10 minutes praying each day, and we're going to do this with our kids. Whatever. Pick if there are things you're not doing now and things that you feel called by God to do, even if it's just a couple of them, but you can look back. Because I can tell you that's the other thing that's super, super rewarding in all of this. It's like a little mini version of Paul in 2 Timothy saying, I've fought the good fight, I've finished the race. He's looking back at his life going, look at all the stuff I've accomplished. When you get to the end of the year and you look back and you see, you're going to have some wins and losses, but look at all the things that we said we were going to do. Look how God enabled us. Look what God did in our marriage because we were faithful to do those things. There is a lot of joy that comes. Yeah, it's a lot of work and there's a lot of challenges and goal setting, but we've probably had more joy, I think, in looking back over the things that God's done in our marriage when we've committed to doing something for Him and He's followed through and helped us through that. It's a pretty rewarding thing in your marriage.
I love it. Oh, it's good. It's motivating. It's helpful, and we've got an opportunity for you guys to sign up for the goal setting workshop on Saturday. If that doesn't work, you've gotten some great advice here and some direction on that. So with that, I'll close out our time with a word of prayer. We got questions for you guys to work through in your small groups, and hope you have a great discussion about it, okay? God, we love you, and we're thankful for the gift of marriage that you've given to each of us here in this room and the opportunity that it creates for us to do things like we've discussed here today, to sit down with our spouse and set goals and talk and plan and create objectives for ourselves, for our marriages, for our relationships with you, for our parenting with our kids, and all the various responsibilities that you give us. God, help us to be good stewards with each of these things and to be strategic with them. God, we just recognize the scope of life in this world, living for you, and all the various elements for us to be faithful. So, Lord, help us to do a good job living for you, serving you, and to get as organized as we can be in that effort. So, God, I'm thankful for these men and the way that you have used them in this area, taught them, and used them to teach other people. And, God, I just pray that we would learn valuable lessons on this front in a way that's good and pleasing to you. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, have a great discussion. See ya.